Bucoda, a sleepy burg today, once known as the little town with the $1 million payroll, features a rich history that stretches back more than 150 years to the pioneer days of Washington Territory. The community, originally called Siatko, an Indian word for devil or ghost, began in 1856 when Aaron Webster built a sawmill in a valley along the Skookumchuck River. Aaron Webster, an Ohio native and young millwright, settled in 1854 in a luscious valley on the west bank of a river called Skookumchuck, which in the Chinook Indian language means strong water. A year later, he had harnessed the river's water to run a sawmill, which he operated for 7 years a half-mile downstream from his cabin. That was the beginning of Siatko, an Indian word meaning ghost or devil. The community later incorporated as Bucoda and dubbed itself the little town with the $1 million payroll. In April 1861, Webster, then 31 years old, married Sarah E. Yantis, who had arrived with her family at Frost Prairie in September of 1854. Webster sold his property to Oliver Shedd and purchased 540 acres 2 miles north on nearby Frost Prairie, where he built a large house for his family. Shedd became a prominent entrepreneur and dubbed the community Siatko, producing lumber for newcomers to build their homes, and established its first post office on December 7, 1870, in what soon developed into a bustling little burg. The new century in Bucoda saw a busy town with several active churches, fraternal organizations, and even a public improvement club to promote social and business interests in town. Descendants of early pioneers were raising their families in the valley as newcomers came seeking jobs as coal miners, mill workers, and loggers. Hotels, boarding houses, and other businesses catered to the people working at the mills and in the mines. Frank Wall ran a butcher shop. The Brodacks from Hungary opened up a shingle mill, and Robert Davies sold bicycles. The Krupps, perhaps one of Bucoda's most influential families, arrived in 1883. The elder Emil Krupp, an Austrian native, worked as a laborer at the lumber mill and manufactured cigars, a skill he taught to both of his sons. Joseph Krupp operated a candy and tobacco store on Main Street, while Emil Franklin, like his father, worked at the mill. The elder Emil Krupp served as Bucoda's first mayor after the town incorporated in 1910. Joe Krupp served 4 decades as Bucoda's treasurer, and the younger Emil served 3 terms as mayor and sat on the town council and local school board. Lumber continued reigning in Bucoda with operation of the Mutual Lumber Company and the Raymer Lumber Company. In the summer of 1907, electricity arrived in Bucoda. The latter part of the 1870s opened the most notorious chapter in the history of Bucoda, home of the Siatko Penitentiary, known as White Man's Hell. The sheriffs of Thurston and Pierce counties enlisted Oliver Shedd of Siatko as a third partner to erect the prison building. Prisoners lived in 32 unheated cells on the ground floor of the 2-story building, surrounded by a sturdy stockade. The prison inmates wore heavy iron shackles around their ankles called Rehnquist cuffs. Attached to the leg irons were 2 iron balls that weighed from 9 to 20 pounds each. The shackled convicts worked 9 to 12 hours a day for the prison's owners, sometimes cutting firewood, clearing roads and land, mining coal, or helping at local farms. Other times, toiling in Shed's sawmill, a brickyard, or at the newly formed Siatko Manufacturing Company. The convict labor took jobs away from the free men, whose wages would have helped build the community. Public criticism of the inmates' treatment prompted the legislature to open up a government-run penitentiary in Walla Walla. The prison opened in 1878 and closed in 1887.